Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you. It's difficult to be here. I struggle to understand how we can be here after so many years. There have been so many stories told. There's been so much criticism. There has been so much deception. And where has it brought us? Has this been constructive? Is this a victory for us, for the state, for humanity, for our rights? When I came forward in 2013, I said the reason that I came forward was that we have a right to know that which is done to us and that which is done in our name by our governments. That was already under threat. And when you look at the world since, it seems that that trend is accelerating. Do we still have that right? Do we have any rights if we don't defend them? Well, today we see someone who has stood up to defend that right, who has aggressively championed that right at an extreme cost. And it's time for us to defend his rights. What we're witnessing is a murder that passes without comment. And I want to say that it is difficult for me to comprehend the spectacle of the press of a nation or the developed world aiding and abetting with full knowledge a crime not only against this man, but against our public interest. However, at this moment, that we all see this, we all feel it. It's no less familiar than the shoes on my feet. Everywhere we look, from Afghanistan to economics, from pandemic to pervasive surveillance, the obvious has been made unspeakable. It has become unspeakable because the truth of our circumstances could be taken as evidence in the defense of the actions of the out of favor. And in the eyes of the American state, few represent this class, a greater object of hatred than the person of Julian Assange. He has been charged as a political criminal, something that I understand quite well, but he has been charged as the purest sort of political criminal for having committed the transgression of choosing the wrong side. The charges, which they are absolutely an unadorned legal fiction. We are told to believe that the state has these powers over what can be said and what can't be said, the things that can and cannot be said. But what happens if we permit that? Where does that lead? What are we? Can we be said to be free if even our power to express ourselves, to understand the facts of our world, can be fenced off from us? And we look beyond, through the gauze, through the veil, at what could be the facts of the world, but we're not permitted to acquire them. Julian Assange did not accept that, and the charges against him reduced to an allegation to commit the crime of journalism in the first degree, which is to say, when we look at it applied elsewhere, the same sort of publication of classified material that we see in the New York Times or the Washington Post, aggravated by a conspiracy to accomplish the same, which is simply uncovering an uncomfortable truth. But something distinguishes Julian Assange from the greatest newspapers of our day, and that is his independence. Julian Assange is not a person who will be told no lightly. I remember in the case of 2013, when I came forward and revealed evidence of mass surveillance, which the government of my country had constructed the apparatus of mass surveillance, an entire scheme that spanned the globe, with the participation of Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and of course, the United Kingdom. And when the newspapers of all of these countries began publishing these things, one of the papers who held the archive material originally included The Guardian, who was headquartered in the United Kingdom, still is. And I remember reading a story. Of course, I wasn't there for it personally. I'm getting this secondhand. Who knows what we can rely on, the state of journalism as it is today. But they were approached by the British state, who said, okay, you've had your fun. You've done enough. Now it's time to stop. And they had to send their archival material away to the United States, to a partner publication, because they no longer believed that they were safe to continue publishing. And they were right. Agents of the British state went to The Guardian. They destroyed their laptop computers. They've got it on film, putting angle grinders to computer chips, trying to erase any trace that these stories had been written from within the confines of the newsroom. Now, Julian was not deterred by that, and he never would be. When you perform the level of surveillance against a person that has clearly been performed and is being performed, even today, certainly in prison, against Julian Assange, you understand at least something about that character. You understand what the breaking point is. You know what it'll take to make them bend. And he didn't bend. He will break before he does. He has consistently and continuously dared to speak the unspeakable in the face of opposition, in the face of power, and that is a remarkable and rare thing. That is the reason that Julian Assange sits in prison today. If you love the truth, as I think everyone here does, you wouldn't be listening to this, you wouldn't be watching this, you wouldn't be participating in this, you wouldn't care about this unless something in you told you that something important was happening here. And if you do care, as I think you do, you are a criminal of the same category as Julian Assange. In the eyes of the state, what differentiates you, what divides you from him, is only the degree. We share the same guilt. Each of us share in the crime, and we are unindicted co-conspirators in his quest to raise a lantern in the halls of power. Each of us shares in the forbidden desire to see justice done not merely to the instruments of these darkest moments of the human condition that we've heard about all day here, torture, extrajudicial killings, aggressive war, but to see justice done to their architects. And I have to say here, each of us will also share. And to me, it will happen without the faintest regret. In his ultimate fate, if we do not stop what is happening now. What is happening to Julian Assange is a crime, and he must be freed. If we're going to free the world, we have to free Assange. Thank you, and stay free.
Well, first, they're getting Julian. Then they will get you, me, everyone. This is a clear struggle for freedom of the press and for the right of citizens to know that which governments are doing behind their backs, supposedly on their behalf.
The lying is at the heart of it. So if you go and get people really inside the national security state and reveal the war crimes, the lying, the bullshit of the arms industry, that's like putting a dagger into a place you're not allowed to go.
So I think this case is absolutely devastating, horrifying, and wide-reaching implications for press freedom and journalism as a whole. And unfortunately, People have already made up their mind about Julian Assange. They're not taking a stand the way they should be.
It turned out he was under surveillance. It turned out there were people eavesdropping on everything he was doing. It turned out there were people even checking the nappies of his baby to check who it was and all the rest of it. For goodness sake, this is inhuman treatment of somebody that tried to bring some humanity to our planet.
He is being punished, as is Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, for releasing the truth.
He's on death row. He will be on death row if he is extradited.
A felon who confessed, who's one of the US's principal witnesses in this grotesque case. Not long ago, he confessed that everything he said was a fabrication. Not a word about him.
If this man gets extradited to the United States, he will be tortured until the day he dies.
The CIA was trying to murder Julian Assange or to capture Julian Assange.
It may now be Julian and it may now be Glenn Greenwald, but who will be next?
Julian is a publisher. Julian is also a son. He's a friend. He's my fiancé and a father. Julian needs his freedom, and our democracy needs a free press.
Yes, it is about Julian Assange, but it is much more also about all of you and your children and your families. And 20 years from now, will you still be able to know the truth about what your government is doing? Or when it has become a crime to inform you about what your government is doing with your tax money to other people that have not done anything wrong in their lives?
I'm Taylor Hudak with Activism Munich. I'm in London outside the Old Bailey courthouse. Assange was rearrested under the new superseding indictment. Today is the first day of the appeal hearing in the extradition proceedings. Hi everyone, I'm Taylor Hudak and I'm outside London's Belmarsh prison.
We are all Julian Assange. How would you know about all the crimes committed in our names if there weren't the billions of leaks published by WikiLeaks?
If wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by truth.
We're going to lock people away facing 200 years in prison for exposing war crimes. What kind of country, what kind of world are we going to live in? So we have to stand up and collectively say no more.
If you're an activist of any kind, right, left, center, an animal rights activist, an environmental activist, a socialist activist, any kind of an activist against global institutions, and you're not capable of setting aside whatever emotional feelings you have for Julian Assange to defend basic press freedoms and stand opposed to the efforts of the Trump government and Boris Johnson's Tory government to criminalize the activities of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and publishing information in the public interest, you are going to create a world for yourself in which the precedents you're now acquiescing to or cheering out of some misplaced hatred for Julian Assange are going to be used against you.
When you're in a dark room, one person switching on the light will make everyone see, right? Don't look for the light somewhere else. Go and switch it on yourself.
We should all thank Julian for his courage and integrity in providing us with this precious gift at great cost to himself, much to our shame.
But think about the opportunities that you have, right? Because there are no heroes. Nobody's going to save you, right? There are only heroic actions. There are only heroic choices. There are only people who moment by moment see bad things and recognize, maybe I can do something. Maybe I can't fix everything, but maybe I can make progress. Maybe I can make things better. Maybe I am the one that I'm waiting for. And as soon as you start thinking like that, you'll realize that you are.
Free Assange, rock and roll.